guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Jordan and this is the Flake Files. Jackson's head is down there. He's playing if you hear or see him. I've had a lot of people previously ask me about my delivery, my pregnancy, and breastfeeding with ichthyosis. And I kind of wanted to do each one of those separately because I feel like it deserves its own video. So today I'm going to be talking about my pregnancy with ichthyosis and kind of what we did or how our feelings were going into trying to have a baby. So, you know, I always knew that I wanted kids and my husband always wanted kids, and this is not by any means everyone's opinion at all. Like, I've heard very many different opinions, but we did not care if the baby had ichthyosis. The specific type that I have, there's only a few types that are dominant, which means that only one parent needs to have the gene mutation for it to potentially pass on. So I have confetti ichthyosis. I know that EI is also dominant, but most of them are recessive. So definitely take that in consideration when making your decision. Some people choose not to have kids because they do not even want a chance passing it on. That's just how they feel, and that is perfectly fine. But we chose to go forth. We did not care. I live a fairly normal life. And if you're not familiar, I have a 4-year-old daughter who is unaffected, and then I have Jackson who is affected. But definitely make sure you and your spouse are on the same page. And then, but we didn't do any kind of genetic counseling or is it IVF where you can like pick which egg or whatever does not carry the gene. We did not do any of that. And with my daughter, we got pregnant right away on the first cycle of trying, which I am extremely thankful for. I know a lot of people that have a lot of problems with that. This video is all over the place. I'm sorry, he's very distracting. But yeah, let's see. I had a pretty normal pregnancy, especially in the beginning. I had, you know, mild morning sickness, I'd say. I never actually got sick. And with my daughter, I know there's a lot of people that say like it's different with girls if you have a girl and a boy. So just putting it out there. With my daughter, I had waves of nausea. And with my son, I was just kind of felt sick all the time. But I'd say the waves were more intense than the constant feeling, if that makes sense. I did choose to go with a high-risk doctor. I guess I was high risk, but me personally, I wasn't really high risk, so I just kind of went with a doctor that could be either or. And he kind of, from the get-go, said, I don't want you getting too big for fear of my skin stretching, and then to have a C-section, I guess, for more control. And because it was a 50% chance of the baby having ichthyosis, we did opt to have a C-section both times because the birth canal is very, very, very hard on the skin. And if the skin's already, you know, delicate, then, you know, and that is also, what is happening? That is also a personal decision, you know, do what you wish. But he said from the get-go that he was going to kind of let him know when I had had enough and when I thought that my skin had had enough. So definitely find a good doctor who is willing to work with you. I got pregnant in January and I was due the middle of October, and I live in South Carolina, so October is still hot. It's starting to cool down a little bit, but I did have my daughter on September 22nd, She was a large, well, she wasn't large. Both of my kids were only 2 ounces apart, but she was growing very fast. She was transverse, which means she was laying side to side. She was not up and down at all. And it started to get very, very uncomfortable for me. Because it was summer, I started getting really bad heat rash on my chest and on my ankles. To where I had to sleep with bags of ice on my chest and on my ankles. It was so bad, and it would, like, I would scratch it raw. It was awful. I also already have really bad varicose veins, and those started to burn awful anytime I ever put any weight on my feet. So standing was awful, taking a shower was awful, walking was awful. Because she was transverse, I had a ton of low back pain, and it was just, if I was in a store and I didn't have a buggy to lean on, it was like just a sheer sense of panic that I could not stand anymore. And I would see pictures of women that were like 39 weeks pregnant out doing things, and it blew my mind. I was miserable. I also had this weird thing where, I guess if it was usually after I took a shower or something like that, where anything that I did, if I held my hands down, if my hands were not up above my heart, they burned so bad. If I laughed, like any blood flow, like extra blood flow to my hands, burned like fire. It was so weird. I don't know if those are ichthyosis related things, any of that, or if it was just me. Oh, next week will be my deliveries. Oh, I have another pregnancy, don't I? Okay, so that was pregnancy number 1. I did get pregnant again when she was, I don't know, like 13 months old, I think, or 15 months old, but that ended up being a chemical pregnancy. And then, surprise, when my daughter was almost 3, I got pregnant with my son, and we did not try for him. He was a complete surprise. Like I said, I had kind of the constant nausea. I had a lot of gagging, and it wasn't like eating things. It was just, I would be walking around and I would gag. It was so weird. With him, I also never threw up. I had awful reflux from the get-go with him. It was so bad. I took Zantac my entire pregnancy, every single day. Because I did have the varicose veins, I had took baby aspirin with both of my pregnancies the whole time. I stopped about a month before a, projected C-section date. I do think that maybe he kicked a little less, but not a concerning amount. Maybe 1 or 2 times I was like, I haven't felt him move in a while. And I thought about going in to labor and delivery, but he always would start kicking again, and I felt okay about it. I had a lot less pain with him, but he was head down. Let's see. Isn't it funny how I can remember my daughter's pregnancy more than I can remember my pregnancy from 10 months ago? He was the same. My daughter was 7 pounds 3 ounces, and he was 7 pounds 1 ounce when they were born. But I feel like she grew so much faster. I think he grew like evenly, and she kind of like did big growth spurts. I had that same weird hand thing with him as well. The varicose veins were bad. They weren't as bad as they were with my daughter, and I think that has to do with positioning. I think she might have been sitting right on something, some kind of vein or something, and just making it horrendous. So my pregnancy with him was definitely easier. Obviously aches and pains, I don't know. though, but I delivered, he was born in February, so I definitely did not have the heat rash issues. Thank goodness, that was awful. I did both of my pregnancies, I will say this, because I didn't want them to get too big because of my skin stretching, which never really was an issue. I do have stretch marks, but like my skin never like ripped or anything like that. It did get really itchy. But like I remember at 35 weeks with my daughter, I went in crying and I was like, I just can't do it anymore. I can't walk. I can't take, I had to sit down in the shower to take a shower. It was awful. I couldn't go anywhere. Like, thank God that she was my first, because I laid in bed all day. I did gain more weight with him, and I kind of put that as to maybe he needed more. I don't know. But I was more pregnant. I was thirstier with my daughter, which is weird because a lot of people that have babies with ichthyosis, they'll compare their pregnancies and they'll say that they were thirstier with their affected child because they need more hydration and everything. But I don't know. I don't think my pregnancies were really any different. I think maybe I was thirstier with her because it was hotter. I did crave a lot more protein with him. Like, I wanted burgers all the time. But yes, so I did have biophysical profiles every week. I think every week, once I got to like 32 weeks, I started having biophysical profiles every single week, just to make sure that they were doing okay and to make sure that they were not getting too big, because I am little. I am 4'11", and you know, right now I'm like 115. I'm very petite, and it's mostly in my legs. Like my belly stuck out. With my daughter, because she was transverse, my belly was really wide, and with him, like, it stuck out a lot. But overall, it wasn't a huge deal. I didn't have any big issues. My pregnancies were pretty typical, except up until the very end. Did I really have any like skin issues? So thank y'all so much for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe. Next week I will do my delivery videos, and that one's, you know, the big one because I did have a lot of complications with my daughter, and just, you know, talk about the way that they closed my incision and everything like that. So thank y'all for watching, and I will see y'all next week for another Ichthyosis Monday. Bye, guys.